Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerding with 30 on 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about the Acolyte showrunner explains why they need a non-fan in the Star Wars writer's room. They talk about Star Wars. The Acolyte creator Leslie Headland talks about the unique perspective of her upcoming series. We're going to talk about George Lucas backs Disney board after CEO Bob Iger proxy fight, I should say. I'm going to talk a little bit about X-Men 97, give you my thoughts. Screen Rant has an article. Oh, no, that's not the Screen Rant's the Acolyte one. Sorry, Accolade. What else we got? We have the original Crow. We have the original Crow director rejects remake, says film should remain untouched out of respect for Brandon Lee. We'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins confirms return of Star Wars, says she's back on doing Rogue Squadron. We usually do these well, we don't usually. We're going to start usually doing these over on Nerding with 30 channel, but we're having issues with this Streamlabs setup. Trying to use a different YouTube channel, it screws up a whole bunch of stuff on the back end. Nothing that you can be concerned with. So we're going to do these here on this main channel. We usually do it Friday nights around 10:30 in the evening, but I'm out of town this weekend, so we're doing it this afternoon here on Thursday evening. We still have a podcast this evening, Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories in the past week, and we rant along the way. This show, after I'm done, will get privated and will not be able to look at, and then I will take this and move it over as the entire show, as you see, over on Nerding with 30 as an upload. So that's what's going on there. What's going on, Crozy? What's going on, Salty? Eclipse, Dolphin, Gaming Fire. What's going on? Absolutely the best. Isn't something 30 wanted to hear. What did I... I'm confused with that. What did I say? Absolutely the best. Did someone say... Oh, Lucas said it was absolutely the best? Maybe you read the article that I didn't read yet. I don't know. All right, we're gonna start off. We're gonna start off with the Acolyte. Acolyte. I'll be okay. It's a long day for me. So the Acolyte showrunner explains why you need a non-fan in the Star Wars writer's room. Okay, now I saw a little bit about this over on the web. People were talking about, like, how do you have a person that didn't read anything about Star Wars writing Star Wars? So let's read this article. Star Wars, the Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland explains the recent interview why one writer in the show's writer's room isn't a Star Wars fan. Okay. In a recent interview, Star Wars Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland explains that the showrunner's room included one writer who wasn't a fan of Star Wars. The Acolyte also has already sparked intense interest amongst audiences as the next debut is upcoming Star Wars TV show. While, of course, not all the details of the Acolyte have been revealed, the Acolyte full trailer breakdown has been given and viewership a glimpse into it. Okay, so in the interview with the THR, the Acolyte showrunner Leslie explains that the decision to include a writer without the same prior knowledge of Star Wars, Headland shares, that is, she wanted them to be questioning the show's narrative, which someone without a Star Wars background should be able to do more easily. Okay, so let's read this. Okay, I just thought it would be good to have a perspective of a person that literally never seen Star Wars until she was in the room. And she also said to me, why do you want me in this room? I've never seen Star Wars. I have no idea. I think there's a dog in it, but I don't know anything. And I was like, first of all, you're an incredible writer. I can just see this. Oh, first of all, you're an incredible writer. But that's why I want you here. I want you in questioning the narrative. I don't want myself, who's a lifelong fan, to just be relying on particular references in order to create emotional beats. I want the emotional beats to be earned and checked by someone that isn't a super familiar with it. Now, just off of that, oh, you guys can't see. Just off of that, right? Just off of that question or after that statement, I don't know, man. I look at this completely different. I get it. Coming from a standpoint, sometimes when you're in something so deep, right? Like you love something so much, you're writing something, it's hard to step back and see there's any flaws or problems with that, right? So you need someone from the outside to come in and to kind of like check you, right? To kind of check you on your stance, right? So to kind of check you on your stance of what does this make sense as a bare base of you write something and someone goes, "Oh yeah, that would make sense." Character A and B interacting with character C, that seems like it would be good. But it's also in context, right? If the person that's never ever done a haircut, do you want that person to cut your hair? If the person did an interview with someone, I said this last night, if I was doing an interview with somebody but never read their book or watched their films or did anything, would I be a good person to interview that person? I don't know. Within context of certain things, if this is a brand new film, and when I mean brand new, I'm not talking about a brand new film within an established IP. If this is a brand new film and you want to bring in someone that doesn't know anything, like you've never made a James Bond film before, or you never made a Star Wars film, and you're adapting it from one entity to the next, like a Harry Potter, right? The books into the movies. And then you kind of sit down and go, well, I never read the books. Have an outsider come in while people did read the books. They can give an outside perspective. But I think it's different when it's an established already movie, right? And or book, okay, where you're making a sequel, and now you have these attached characters, you have these attached beats across the thing. And yes, the Acolyte takes place before the Phantom Menace, right? But at the same time, I feel like if you don't know anything about Star Wars, then you probably shouldn't be in the writer's room, because you might suggest something and someone goes, oh, that's great. And then it goes in there, sort of like the line, I don't know if they say it in this article, where they say that the Sith Lords from the Phantom Menace have been gone for a millennium. And yet now, in this Acolyte, it's not 1,000 years ahead. I think it's like 100 years before Phantom Menace, right? It might even be a couple of decades before the Phantom Menace. So there's a major loophole problem here. This is the same thing that we read about last week about talking about the Holdor maneuver, right? Where you're just shooting through things because that technology is already there, or that the rebels already knew about the base, but no one ever told them about how tracking works for hyperspeed, for hyperspeed, right? So it's like little things like that throw off the canon. And then when people are not super fans, and you can say this is gatekeeping or whatnot, I don't really think it's gatekeeping for the fans. I think it's gatekeeping for, this is what the lore is, and we don't want the lore to change. We want you to add to the lore. Don't break stuff down so it fits your new story, right? Stick with the story. I always bring back to the example of in New Hope, when Obi-Wan's talking to Luke Skywalker and says, you knew my father? Yes. I fought with your father in the Clone Wars. We know nothing about the Clone Wars. Just a throwaway line, okay, back then. But then later down the road, 20 years later, right, they made the Clone Wars, okay? Now, with the line of, I fought with your father in the Clone Wars, and then if you made a movie in the Clone War era but never showed the actual Clone Wars, and it was a different battle, you'd be like, wait a minute, is this the Clone Wars he was talking about? This is not the Clone War battle, right? It would be really weird because it was established, just from a little line, okay, that it was connected to the same universe. So let me continue reading here. While some might be surprised at Helen's decision to rational, it chooses to make sense, particularly to give Star Wars trajectory lately. Now, the Acolyte story still had to work outside the story of Star Wars. Now, recent Star Wars has begun trending on the direction of making the various movies and TV shows more accessible to those of the franchise who aren't entirely caught up on the recent additions. This is the same sort of problem that Marvel has. Like, if you want to watch Marvel's Avengers, you can watch it as a standalone movie, or like Endgame, but you would get more context from that if you watched all the other movies ahead of time, right? So while viewers might struggle with watching the sequel trilogy without having seen the original prequel trilogy, for example, shows that that Andor essentially built to successfully outside the mainstream Star Wars timeline. This is particularly helpful given that the struggle of the animated shows have had gained the same level of recognition and viewership as the live-action shows and movies. Yeah, but Rogue One and Andor, right? Rogue One is attached to New Hope. New Hope, how did they get the plans? This is the movie, how they got the plans. And then now Andor is the prequel to Rogue One, right? So they're all connected, and they have to kind of fit that narrative of what the story is. Now, this is particularly helpful given that the struggle of animated shows, I already read that one. It says, ultimately, this is a smart move for the Acolyte. While some bristle at the idea of non-fan having a sway in the writer's room, it isn't as though everyone in the room is unfamiliar with the franchise. Really, the writer offers the opportunity to spot gaps, confusing plot points, and other issues that also may be less visible to someone with the background required. Having a non-fan in the room, as Headland said, will allow broader audiences to enjoy the show, giving the Acolytes longevity. I agree, and I understand what she's saying, right? Again, have that person step back. That's not included, and can not be attached, has no attachment to what this character A or B or whatever, or what the story is overall, and just sit back and go, does this make sense? And then goes, well, this doesn't make sense because of this. And they go, well, it does because in Star Wars. And she goes, oh, okay. At that point, though, if the writers that know what they're talking about for Star Wars and the person that doesn't know what they're talking about with Star Wars, doesn't that make it more just inconvenience? Because this person's like, well, this wouldn't make sense. Well, it does because of this. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that because I didn't watch the movies or read the books. So it says it's encouraging to see Star Wars take a new approach. In fact, because it means that the franchise is looking truly to expand beyond the Skywalker saga. While some of the dismay at the news of the Skywalker saga was ending, and while Skywalker was always to be drawn for avid fans, the Acolyte is signaling that there is so much more to tell. By having a non-Star Wars fan in the writer's room, Star Wars The Acolyte will support the fact that Star Wars can go the distance without Anakin, Luke, or Leia. Now, I have a question. If in any way, shape, or form, okay, they bring in the, Plagueis or Yoda or anybody of that sort, if Yoda shows up in this show in any way, shape, or form, then you're connecting it to the Skywalker saga. I'm just saying, if they took this show and made it 1,000 years before, you wouldn't be connecting anything. You have a fresh slate to do stuff, but they didn't do that. Okay? So we'll see, right? If they, in any way, shape, or form during this show, connect it, if Yoda shows up, if they mention Yoda, if they do anything, if Yoda's just a young Padawan at the time, which he wasn't because he's like 800 years old during Empire Strikes Back. He's like, 780 years old during The Phantom Menace. So he's like 600 years old. He knows what the hell he's doing during the time frame of this. If they bring him into the show, then all of this that they're saying, well, they don't have to connect it to the Skywalker saga, is bullshit. Okay? They could have had an opportunity where they could have 100% made a different story. They could even tell a completely different story that's not attached to anything of the Skywalker saga. They could have not attached anything to the Old Republic. They could have made their own stories ahead of time and made it a clean slate. Or they have the ability to make a story well after episodes 7, 8, and 9. Not 30 years. They could do 100 years, 1,000 years into the future, make a story, and then tell that story. But they choose not to, right? They choose not to. These are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think of the Acolyte showrunner leading or having one writer in the writing room that has nothing to do with Star Wars? Know anything about Star Wars? Never watched Star Wars? Do you think that's a smart move? Do you think that's a bad move? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, and subscribe. And if you like what we do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. All right. I think they should do shoot this podcast during the day instead of doing it at nighttime. The problem with that, Gaming Fire, it's really hard for me to do it. Like right now, my son's home from spring break, and it's hard for me to manage my time and stuff because I have to do real life stuff during the day. But I'm leaving town tomorrow, so I did the stuff I had to do because I knew I had to do this. So it's really hard for me to do that stuff. That's why I end usually around 1 o'clock. But I would love to. If I can find the time. Okay, I got the quote wrong. Switch it up. Absolutely for amateurs. Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. What's the Acolyte even supposed to be about? All I got from the trailer is that Jedi's being hunted. Right. The outsider has no idea of the relationship between character A and B. What if they are long-term enemies? That's my thing, Quintar, right? Like, I understand where she's coming from. Like, what she's saying is, right? Like I'm not trying to put any hate towards who she is, okay? I understand she's like, yeah, we're bringing someone in to give us that perspective outside the form. But if that person knows nothing, it's like sitting in a movie theater, a movie that you've seen, but your spouse hasn't seen it. And they're like, who's that? What's happening? Who's doing this? Why are they doing that? It's like she's never seen it. So would she understand what's going on? She would just ask questions like, right? And that's my point with the person that you bring into the writer's room that know nothing about it. I come from a perspective of you should at least... I'm not asking you to be like an uber lord where you know everything about like Luke Skywalker, where he's from, what he ate, who's his sister. Like, I'm not asking for that. But I'm asking you to read the book. I'm asking you to, like, when Joe Rogan does an interview with somebody, he doesn't just go cold into an interview, right? He's like, oh, I read your book, saw your documentary. Like, you have to do some sort of research. You're like, nah, I'm just going to kind of just wing it, right? Even what I do right now, like, if I didn't read the article, how could I talk about it? Just give you my thoughts, but then as soon as I say something based off of nothing, then as soon as someone reads it, be like, that's not what that article's about. This is why we read the article, and then I give you my thoughts off the article. You have to know at least the bare minimum before you can talk about it. And into writing, I'm just so confused on how you're like, yeah. When they tell the actors not to read the comics of your character or not look at other things, and they just want to go in like blind. Let's say someone never watched the Superman, didn't know who Superman was. Okay, characters playing Superman, they're like, they told me never to watch any kind of Superman. I don't know what Superman is. You don't know his powers. You don't know nothing. It'd be kind of weird, wouldn't it? Homework is homework for a reason. Stupid approach if you want people that are in the know to make it tight. That's right. I mean, showing being about hunting down a Jedi as being set before the movies means we already know they fail. Right. This is why I don't like prequels. Set too closely to what it happens. Like, now again, that line, I fought with your father in the Clone Wars, and then they made the Clone Wars, okay? It's just one line, and you're like, oh, what happened in the Clone Wars? I want to know what happened in the Clone Wars, and then they made the Clone Wars. So, like, back when there was 1,000 Jedi, like, what happened back in that time? They could tell a story, which is fine. You could tell a good story. How do you make it interesting? Like, how do we know how it fell? Like, we heard a line like, oh, they were blinded. You know, they were in hiding. They already said that they already ruined something. They already ruined something where the Sith was, they were gone for 1,000 years or whatever. But now they're changing, going, well, no, they were in hiding. The trailer itself, I didn't get any feelings about it. To me, if you told me it was a fan film and someone did it, I would have been like, well, that's a really good fan film. Right? But at the same time, I know Disney did it, and I'm just like, it doesn't look that good. But I don't know if I'm coming from a place, and I'm very honest, I don't know if I'm coming from a place because I just don't, the last two Star Wars things I didn't like. Right? Like, I enjoyed the Ahsoka show up to a certain point because I watched the Rebel series. Okay? I did not like Obi-Wan. I did not like Boba Fett. Okay? So, I didn't really... those last three shows were not very good for me. Okay? Mando I liked. But I never watched the full season of the last season of Mando. And now we have the Acolyte where I'm like, all right, well, I have no connection to this. I could watch this and be like, all right, well, it's cool. I didn't watch Rogue One. I didn't watch Andor season 1. I don't know if I'm going to watch this at all. It doesn't. What I saw didn't sell me on what it is. And I'm not trying to hate on it. Just as is, didn't sell me on what it was. I can't, Dolphin. You might as well stream all day and do the... No, I won't do the future game show. We'll talk about it on GXG if anything happens from there. They need to do something with the Knights of the Old Republic. Right, Salty. Like Rogue One. Right? All right, so that's story number 1 for Star Wars. Then we have story number 2. And we have story number 2 here. All right, so the next story I want to go over is by Variety, in Variety. Okay. George Lucas backs the Disney board and CEO Bob Iger amid proxy fight. Creating magic is not for amateurs. That line, and I heard about this. I didn't read the article yet. I have not read the article. I saw it on Twitter that he said this, and I was like, what is he talking about? What is George Lucas talking about? Okay, creating magic is not for amateurs. Does he forget? Does he forget where he came from? Right? He went against the major corporations because they wouldn't give him a shot or fund what he was doing because he was an amateur. Okay? And then he made a whole career, like a whole industry based off of the technology and stuff that he created, and then made Star Wars and was one of the best brands ever in existence. But yet, creating magic's not for amateurs. There's a whole independent story area of independent filmmakers that would disagree. Okay? Oh, my God. All right, so Star Wars mastermind George Lucas and Disney's the largest individual shareholder, has come out in a statement supporting Disney's board of CEO Bob Iger, urging Mouse House investors to reject bids by 2 activist investor groups to take seats on the media company board. Okay, it all comes down to the money, because you got to remember they paid $4 billion, but they didn't give him that in cash. That was mostly in stock options and stuff, right? So creating magic is not for amateurs. Quote: Lucas said in a statement released on Tuesday, "When I sold Lucasfilm just over a decade ago, I was delighted to become a Disney shareholder because my longtime admiration for its iconic brand of Bob Iger's leadership." Is he senile right now? Hold on a second. Is he senile right now? I have to find this. I think he's senile. Okay? Because hold on.
These are my kids. So
all those Star Wars films.
all the Star Wars films.
They were your kids.
Yeah, well, they are right. You know, I loved them. I created them. I'm very intimately involved in them, and obviously to
And
sell
you
them
sold
off.
them.
I sold them to the white slavers that take these things and.
Okay, but
Hey everyone, welcome to Disneyland.
I sold them to the white slavers. Okay? White slavers. This is the same man who was just a few years ago was upset because he didn't like what they were doing. They wouldn't take his scripts for 7, 8, and 9. They shut him down. He's upset because these are his kids. Okay? These are his kids. Star Wars is his kids. And yet, for some strange reason, now he says creating magic is not for amateurs, which, okay, cool. But I was delighted to become a Disney shareholder because of my long admiration for its iconic brand and Bob Iger's leadership. If that's not a load of bullshit, I don't know what is. Okay? Lucas continued, quote, "When Bob recently returned to the company during a difficult time, I was relieved. No one knows Disney better. I remain a significant shareholder because I have full faith in the confidence in the power of Disney and Bob's track record for driving long-term value. I have voted all of my shares to Disney's 12 directors and urge other shareholders to do the same." Well, I have a question. Does George Lucas know that Bob Iger got rid of 80% of his stock? Does he know that? Does he know that Bob Iger loaded off of his stocks? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know that. Under Iger, Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2012 for $4 billion, a deal under which Lucas received 37.1 million Disney shares. Lucas, who had funded the company in 1971, was also estimated net worth of $7.9 billion per the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, and he's the Disney's largest individual shareholder, according to the source familiar with the company. Okay, Let me read that part again. Lucas, who had founded the company in 1971 and his estimated net worth of $7.9 billion per Bloomberg Billionaire Index. Okay. As Disney 2024 annual shareholder meeting to be held virtually April 3rd, investors will vote on a rival board candidate slates. Disney owns 12 membership lineups. Nelson Peltz, trans partner, 2 nominees, Peltz and executive Disney CFO Jay Razloo, or 3 from investing firm Blackwell's Capital. Peltz, for one, has argued that Disney's stock has underperformed and the market and the company needs to adopt and execute more urgent strategies to drive sustained profitable growth. Lucas commented on the creating of magic is not for amateurs may be a reference to Disney's point that Peltz has admitted in that has no media experience. Now, if that's what he's talking about, cool. Okay, but at the same time, does he know who Peltz is? Does he know because he has no media expertise himself that he's not allowed to? Now, if this is the case, now we just did a story about writer being in the writer's room that knows nothing about Star Wars, but yet there's people that are in a company that, you know what I mean? We're okay with this person being in here running Star Wars or writing for Star Wars, but we're not okay with this person being in a media company that's never run a media company. Man, the hypocrisy goes real quick. Okay. Now, the filmmaker's statement comes as Disney has one other supporters of the board fight. On Monday, independent proxy voting advertiser Glass Lewis issued a report recommending Disney shareholders vote for Disney's 12 director nominees. Now, last month, the grandchildren of Walt Disney World and his brother Roy Disney issued open letters criticizing the activist investors' campaigns threatening to shake up the Disney board and threw their support behind Iger and the current board. Right? So let's be honest here. All of this stuff is political. It doesn't matter if it's the president of the United States or if it's the board of directors of a multi-billion-dollar company. Okay, so Disney last week released the strongest retributable to Peltz to date in a video they called "Proxy Fight Being Waged by Train, Disputive and Destructive," said to Peltz. Yes, also seems more about the vanity and that they believe in Disney. Why else would they sell 50,000 Disney shares over the past 6 months in the middle of his proxy fight? Okay. Imagine that. Okay. Iger sold 500,000 Disney shares over the past 6 months. Amazing. Amazing. The comments of George Lucas saying, not for amateurs. I don't care what field it is. Okay. If he's talking about Peltz being an amateur, doesn't know anything about media, or him saying that filmmakers are not amateurs as well. Like, this happens all around. Amateurs become professionals, and they have to practice and keep going. Okay. Now there is a minor league level, and then there's a professional level. And amateurs that are in the minor league levels are not really amateurs; they're professionals. It's really hard to get up to that point to play ball with the other professionals. Now, if he was taking that statement and putting it towards Peltz as the media guy, cool. But if he's saying that creating magic is not for amateurs, that's bullshit. Because creating magic and artists all the time, right? Some of the best things I've seen in the last decade, okay, come from passionate fans. People that are not professional movie directors or producers, okay? They just made a student film or made a fan film, and it blows the water out of most of the stuff that's coming out of main Hollywood. So to say that creating magic, and that's what gets me a little confused on who's he saying it to. Creating magic is not for amateurs. Well, what Disney's doing is they're not creating magic. Okay? They're not creating magic. At least the board of directors is not creating magic. The people that work for Disney and the Imagineers and stuff like that, they're making magic. The upper management is not making magic. They're making deals, right? Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that, well, first, George Lucas, one, he's bought and paid for, right? Saying, on one hand, that he's in full display of he loves Iger, but yet says that he was sad because it was his children and he sold it to the white slaves. Or do you think that this is what he really believes? I think he's bought and paid for. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. Again, let me know what you think. And if you like what we do here, please make sure you check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. How much more money did he give You George? Yeah, seriously. He's got all those stock options. Lucas is losing it. Might be time to retire and sit back and relax. Is the Grinding Gear Games showcase today? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Eclipse. Star Wars fans can write better Star Wars than Disney. He was an amateur to begin with and got turned down a lot for Star Wars. That's right, Salty. So to just think about that, right? Now, obviously, he comes from a directing background. Like, he was a director. Good friends with Coppola and Spielberg and Scorsese, and they all grew up in that same era when they graduated school, so they all came out. But they were amateurs, and no one would give him a shot. So he took his own money that he got and then made it. And then to come back and say that it's not for, it's not for amateurs. Now, again, within the context of the article, he could be talking to Peltz, Nelson Peltz. Okay? But regardless, right? We just read the other article about bringing a writer into the writer's room that knows nothing about Star Wars, and yet they're upset that they're bringing a person to the company that knows nothing about Disney, basically, right? So what's good for the goose is not good for the gander, right? We could bring someone in that knows nothing about the Star Wars brand, and that's okay, but bringing someone in that doesn't know anything about the Disney brand, that's not okay? It's just the hypocrisy, man. The hypocrisy is just unbelievable. And can I say, when they make articles, that's like the worst picture you could have used of George Lucas. Like, he does look like an old, like, senile guy there. Like, stare at the camera, George. Like, he doesn't look like George. Peltz knows what Disney's brand used to stand for, and now they don't want him to come in and mess up the party. Right. Right. Checks calendar. Year 8 of wanting new leadership for Lucasfilm. I made that video. I made that video long ago about George Lucas being the emperor. And that he sold this company for... And he actually did. It was all planned. It was all planned. I don't think I have it anymore, but I think I showed it on here a long time ago. I was like, what about if this is what he did? Yeah, sure. They've been wanting her to leave for, 8 years, 9 years now? Any day now. Kathleen Kennedy, she's leaving. This is it. This is it. I still watch people that talk about this stuff, but back in 2020, I was like, she ain't going anywhere. She ain't going anywhere. That was my peak hatred, right? That was my peak hatred for what they did to Disney, Disney Star Wars, or what Disney did to Star Wars. I'll be honest, it's just so sad. We're going to talk about X-Men in a second. Right? Watching the Clone Wars series, watching the Rebel series, watching the Bad Batch series, kind of gives me a glimmer of hope of what they could do. Right? And now, I watched one episode of the X-Men show, and I was like, that's pretty good. Pretty good. I have a couple of criticisms, but overall, I was like, yeah, it feels like it's the old Marvel back in the day when I was a kid or younger, right? I was like 17, 18 when the show ended, right? Now, I don't know if that's that nostalgia talking or if it's because it's actually a good show. I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's more nostalgia right now. One episode in, right? One episode in. Krebsy says, just give Star Wars to SBI. But then they gave him Ahsoka. Dave is it, and the others are gone. And Ahsoka itself, that's why I was disappointed with Ahsoka's TV show. Like, the live action stuff is just not hitting for me. It's not hitting for me. Like, I love the show Rebels. Okay? And I watched that in my, late 20s. When did Rebels come out? Rebels came out in... Let's see. Yeah, 2014. I'm in my 30s. 36 when that show came out. And I liked it. Okay? I was like 36 when Rebels came out. And I was like, yeah, you know what? And a lot of people were like, oh, that's for kids. I thought it was a good show. I thought they did really well with the story beats and stuff. Right? I thought it fit in nicely with the Clone Wars. Well, a lot of people couldn't deal with the Clone Wars originally, what they looked like, right? Like the animated, like the original where Mace Windu goes crazy. I think it's funny that the Acolyte trailer is the most watched trailer of any debut Star Wars series. Sure, it's also the most disliked one. I think it's over 300,000 dislikes now, or close to it. Got like 150,000 upvotes and almost 300,000 downvotes. Yeah, Tales of the Jedi. I like that style as well. That art style. I like all the art styles. I'm okay with the animation stuff. An animation style I couldn't get behind was I liked Reboot back in the day, but I didn't like what they did for Transformers. That CPU technology, the animated stuff, just wasn't as good. The Beast Wars back in the day I was like, nope, I'm out. All right, the next story I want to cover is X-Men. X-Men 97. Okay, no spoilers. I'm reading this article. Okay, I'm going to try to skim through it as I'm reading ahead. If they just go into spoilers, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. No spoilers, right? I'm just going to read the article, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts. I watched the one episode. That's all I did. I just watched one episode last night after my stream. And I'll tell you about it. Tell you my thoughts about it. Okay? So X-Men 97 delivers an animated blast from the past and maybe Marvel's future. Okay? This comes from CNN Entertainment. Okay, so CNN X-Men 97 at first seems a narrowly pitched made-for-streaming fare, receiving a cultish animated Saturday morning series launched more than 30 years ago, basically picking up where the show left off. Now, look a little closer, though, and X-Men could offer clues and signposts as Marvel pivots into the next phase that hinges on the incorporating of popular property and Fantastic Four, two staples of the Marvel's comics, and also have returned in the cinematic fold after decades under the stewardship of 20th Century Fox. Just thinking about reading that for a second, I wonder if they made the animated series, or I'm sorry, the actual X-Men movies. I wonder if they don't make it in the present day. I wonder if they go back to the 90s, early 2000s. I wonder if they do it that way. Marvel's parent Disney 2009 acquisition of key Fox Entertainment assets, including the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four, has fueled excitement about where those titles will go as they incorporate the Marvel's interlocked universe. That's perhaps especially true in the latter after two stabs of Fantastic Four movies, generally underwhelming fans. And video games and a bunch of stuff. Just bad Fantastic Four movies. So how does the X-Men 97 fit into that? Because the original series, which ran for 5 seasons during 1992, accompanied or accomplishment, two things seemed vital, okay, for Marvel's lineup from Disney Plus series. The theatrical blockbuster embracing the comics in a way that satisfies the hardcore fans while still appealing to more casual consumers and attracting adults while playing well with kids without stooping to reach them. Okay. The animated X-Men series pulls off a delicate high-wire act, notably 8 years before the movies began with Hugh Jackman. Breakout role as Wolverine, with another 8 passing before Iron Man launched Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, despite playing the Saturday mornings a window predicted in terms of advertising on ratings amongst children under 12, the show shocked exclusive executives by attracting plenty of teenagers and young men. I was there. I was in high school when I started watching it. Loved it. I loved it when it came on TV. I absolutely loved it. Who, after years of disappointing comic book adaptations, embraced one that they could enjoy, ambitious at storytelling, fidelity to the comics. Now, as Eric Lewall, the head writer of the original series, wrote the book previously on the X-Men, making the animated series back in 1992, almost nobody in Hollywood believed that the X-Men TV series could possibly work. Fortunately, one of the people who did, was a former head of Marvel's productions who had left the launch of the Fox Children's Network and persuaded her bosses to take a chance on the show. The result was a series that captured X-Men's central metaphor: students at Charles Xavier's school, gifted youngsters who, as mutants, faced extra pangs of the feeling different, with the audacity of translate the comics with the cute robots forms of pandering frequently found in earlier shows. Now, taking advantage of the streaming format and the passage of the time, X-Men 97 is a little more adult in tone than the original, though. It remains true to its spirit and incorporates plenty of familiar trappings from the animation style and memorable musical theme. Now, the bigger picture, of course, involves Marvel's rough sketch at the box office, along with the rival DC and others. Amidst the malice stemming from the rise of streaming, an allocated glut of Marvel series that just shifted towards a home viewing due to COVID, after an inevitable run, it hits sadness that has also shaken theaters and studios, while leaving Disney itself self-reflecting, more trying to get Marvel back on track. So, X-Men 97 will play a smaller screens, but an unexpected demographic straddling success in the 90s still seems relevant to the challenge of Marvel must master to rekindle its magic, nor involve one-size-fits-all approach and enthusiasm around the upcoming Deadpool Wolverine would suggest. Keep that theme in the comics and question what's after the mutation of the case, whether in the set Marvel in the path of the next phase is evolution. X-Men 97 premieres on March 20th, which is yesterday. I watched the first episode of this, and I have to say, I was going in with a bunch of emotions, right? I was going in, not emotions like I'm going to cry or anything like that, but I was going in with a bunch of stuff in my head, like, how do they fuck this up? How do they do this? How do they change this person? How do they change that person? Because what you see in the media is that, Morph is now non-binary, right? And this person could be bisexual or whatever. And I hate when they advertise a show based on the sexuality of something, especially in a cartoon, right? I'm not watching for these sex scenes, okay? Right? It's not Game of Thrones, okay? It's an animated cartoon meant for kids, teenagers, and young adults, and 45-year-old men, okay? Where I went in, I was like, how are they going to fuck this up, right? How are they going to fuck this up? And I was watching it the first 10 minutes going, where are they doing it? And I'm like trying to nitpick stuff. But as I was watching it, right? As I was watching it, I was like, I was like, this seems pretty good. This reminds me of X-Men back in the day, right? And it's a continuation of it, right? I almost felt like I had to go back and watch a couple of episodes before I saw this episode to just fill in the blanks a little bit because it's been 30 years, okay? So I started watching it. I was like, okay, this seems pretty interesting. Now, some of the nitpicks I have, some of the voice actors are a little weird. Now, we had this a couple months ago. Some of you guys had a problem with Wolverine's voice, right? Wolverine's the same actor that did Wolverine back in the day. Rogue's voice actress, I'm not a big fan of that, okay? Her voice actress, not very convincing as Rogue, okay? Has a southern twang to it, but something just different about her. And then also Storm's voice actor, right? I don't know. It just seems a little weird to me. But that's minute little problems, right? I can get over that real fast. Overall, the characters felt good. The story felt good. Like, the way it started and the way it's like I didn't even miss a beat. It's like watching the Clone Wars like we did when all of a sudden they did all those seasons and then stopped and then did that last season. It just fit right in, right? It's like when I was watching this, okay, it was like I never left. It was that nostalgia moment that kicked in. Now, a part of me is like, well, gotta watch 3. 3 episodes. If they can hook me for 3 and the 4th one is good, then it's good to me. Okay. Right now, I'm like, all right, well, maybe they're just kind of bringing it in. He-Man did the same thing when it came out. He-Man was okay, and then all of a sudden, then they shit on the characters. So we'll see what happens with the show, but I'm actually really surprised. Going into it, I thought I was going to be a little bit more disappointed, right? And I was actually, I'm being honest, I was going in looking to be disappointed, okay? And in some time, I went, I don't know, it was like a split second. I literally was laying in bed watching it on my phone, okay? Because everyone was sleeping in the house. So I didn't really watch it on the big screen or anything. I just watched it on my phone. I'm laying there, and I was just like, man, I thought I was going to hate this. But then I was like, they did really good with Cyclops' character. I like the story that's going on there. I like the dynamics between the characters. I was like, this is actually pretty good. All right, they sold me for episode number 1, and I'm looking forward to watching episode number 2 and as they come out. Now, again, I went in looking to try to look for anything, right? Another thing that kind of bothers me is like the animation itself looks a little off, and I don't know. I would have to go watch the old show again. I haven't seen it in decades, right? But I would have to go look at the old show. But the way the animation style is in this, it seems a little glitchy to me. And I don't know if it's me trying to find flaws or if anyone else noticed that, let me know. But let me tell you, when I heard that music, yesterday Water was talking about it and saying the music, it feels the same. And I love how they played the entire intro. Okay, the entire intro played, and I was like, oh, it makes sense because it's not on television. Television shows now are like, ba-da-da, ba-da, and then it's done, right? This one played out the entire, and it just went off. And they did do like a little new spin, not a total modern spin, but as soon as that music plays, man, I was like, and then you know when the show's coming to an end, like the climactic stuff in the series, like in the episode, because the theme song plays. So I really liked it. I really enjoyed the first episode. I'm going to give it a second chance for the second episode. I'm going to watch. And if they don't screw it up, I think they have something good here. Because DeMeo, before he got fired, which we don't know why, it's probably because of his what's that site called? I forget what that site's called. Anyway, he had a, I forget. Curse you, COVID. He had a OnlyFans. That's what it was. OnlyFans. Okay. He had an OnlyFans. Thank you, Krebs. Yeah, I said it before you got it. He had an OnlyFans account. I think that's why they got rid of him. But we don't know exactly yet. But he was talking about already season 2s are in the can, basically, and they were talking about season 3. So this is supposed to go on, multiple years. And I hope if based off episode 1, now obviously it's a 1 episode. They could screw it up big time. But off the 1 episode, if they can make multiple seasons of this, I'm here for it. All right. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. What do you think of X-Men 97? Have you watched it? Do you like it? Do you didn't like it? Let me know in the comment section. And what do you think they're doing with the X-Men brand, right? Do we think that the X-Men, obviously Deadpool's coming out later this year. Do you think the X-Men is set? Because there's rumors that the Fantastic Four film is going to be in like the 60s, right? So do we think the X-Men is in the 90s, early 2000s, or do you think it's in present day? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. If you like what we do here, please make sure you check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Yeah, the guy had his OnlyFans account. Rogue is off. Storm I can deal with. And Rogue just seems something about, she's missing the twang. It sounds like, here's what it is. I don't know if the main actress that played her originally was Southern or she did a really good job, but the accent that she had made it seem like she wasn't doing an accent. The person that's playing Rogue now sounds like it's a person doing an accent. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I heard people praising Cyclops because they made his powers more about being conscious based and also or concussion based. More what is that? More in line with the character's powers actually are. Yeah, I like his character a lot. He's getting tossed into being the leader. He's getting tossed into being the leader. You know what I mean? Like an actual leader. Not trying to shit on him. Yeah, Salty. I think that's what it is. It might be more computerized. There's something off about it. It's not a deal breaker for me. It's just something about it. It just messes with me a little bit. Me personally, I don't care about the show. It needs to be connected to the MCU for me to be interested. As of now, I don't think 97 is connected till it is. Well, it's funny that you say that, Krebsy, because aren't you one of the people that doesn't want Star Wars to be connected to the Skywalker stuff? It's a multiverse. It can be set whenever. If 1660, aka main MCU universe X-Men, will be from modern day. Well, that's just it. I mean, they could pick any year. I wonder if they connect it, or if it's not connected. Connected only based on that it's in the same timeline, but they're on a different planet. You know, different Earth. Yeah, they've completely changed what she was from the 90s to the thing. I mean, obviously, I'm not looking at it, but I mean, just look at this. Look at this picture. Look at the picture of Rogue, right? She's got like a flat chest. She used to have a bigger chest than Storm over here, right? But then people look at that and they'll be like, "Well, it's a grown man looking at a cartoon." It's like, no, that's not the point. The point is they changed the character. That's the point. I don't care about tits and ass in a cartoon. I'm just saying they changed the character. The whole point is don't change the character. Leave the character alone. Right? This is literally a continuation from the last show. What happened to her? Get a breast implant or a breast reduction? You know what I mean? Here. One is from today and one is from, you know, the 90s. Which one's which? I mean, personally, for me, it's not a make or break because, you know, but it's like people don't understand this. They don't understand. Don't change what's already established. You're not doing an X-Men revamp. This is literally the same show. They're connecting it to 97. That's why it's called X-Men 97. It's the exact same show. The characters should be the same. Mike, did you check out the purple Superman trailer? I don't even know what that is. No. Argus says, there is almost never a point in which I'm asking for smaller breasts or ass as an adult woman in any form of media. Live action, cartoon, I don't care. Realistic proportions in media, we don't win. Or we don't watch it for realism. We watch it to be entertained. Exactly right. Yes. Discord? Okay, hold on. Oh, do they have a... I don't want to watch that here because this is a completely different show. I'll watch it off stream. I'll watch it off stream. I said it. I literally said it on my other stream. I was like, they'll probably drop it today or tomorrow. What I said, or Tuesday. I said they probably do it today. No, I didn't hide it. It's there. It's right underneath Starfield. Everything gaming, general gaming, game trailers, Starfield, Suicide Squad, Transformers Reactivate. It's still there. Nothing's hidden. Maybe you hit it by accident. Yeah, people make fun of it all you want, right? But let me tell you something. Even as a kid watching like Scooby-Doo or I forget another cartoon, right? When you have a good-looking cartoon character as a kid, you're like, oh, right? And again, other side as well. People that are attracted to the same sex probably look at someone and be like, oh, that's a pretty attractive character, right? Of course you want it to be attractive. Okay? You want to be attractive because you either have to be attractive to get the eyes attached to the screen and then go, oh, okay, this is actually a good character, and then you like the character. You know what I mean? Like nobody, I want to say nobody. Very few people want to look at, imagine if Conan the Barbarian was played by, God rest his soul, Chris Farley. Okay? Now, obviously, Chris Farley's a comedian. But I'm saying a man of that size and that shape. Do you think that's what people think of Conan the Barbarian? No. You think of this buff, gigantic, ripped guy as Conan the Barbarian. Okay? Nobody had issues with the dude that had his shirt off, and guys look at guys like that and be like, man, I want to be like that. That's a man, right? And a girl looks at that and goes, I want that man, right? And vice versa, right? Girls look at girls and go, that's an attractive woman. And a man looks at that and goes, that's an attractive woman, right? No one's looking at this and going, oh, look at this Wonder Woman. That's not realistic. She's a god. She shouldn't be that skinny and beautiful. She should be overweight and a slob. Like, what? Section's there. I think the first season of Scooby-Doo barely spoke more than yes and no, and they made him too human in the new shows. Yeah. Oh, like that's all he would say. Well, geez, Scoob. Right? Now he's having like full-on dialogue conversations and stuff. Right, he's supposed to be a Giga Chad with 10-pack, four pecs. Yeah. And that when I look at my comic books, I want the same. I want unbelievably good-looking guys that are ripped, and I want super good-looking women. Sorry. That's what I want. Those are my standards. Cool comic book cover, right? Cool comic book cover. Be like, good-looking comic book cover. Let's see if I have something. I don't have anything, right? Like, what gets you to go to a movie when you walk by a movie poster? Badass movie poster. Right? Something good looking on that poster. You're like, yeah, I like that poster. Right? Do kids put posters on their walls anymore? I don't even know. I don't even know. It's a new phase. We want attractive women and men in everything. And then all this shit is regressed to stop with the snowflake crying. Yeah, nobody. I don't want an ugly, non-attractive person on a comic book cover, or on a movie poster, or on a TV show. That's why they made side characters. The main character, right? When you look at Reacher, look at Alan Rickman. He is the embodiment of what every man pictures what they look like in the mirror. Right? Look at him and go, I look like that, don't I? Right? That's what you're God damn, that's a fucking huge. That's inspiration. You look at The Rock and you're like, God damn, that guy's fucking jacked. I'm never going to be that way, but if I want to, I can work hard and become like that. Okay? Or I can just work on my gut. Okay? Just because I don't look like him doesn't mean I don't like him. Right? I want more ladies looking like Rocky Dennis in The Mask. Jesus. But the Secret Black Widow, she's hot. She should be proud. This also comes out saying, I don't want to be objectified. But you were okay taking the yeah. Oh, when Scarlett Johansson came out and you look at her and you look at her inside of Iron Man, right? When she first comes in, and you're like, whew. And then she becomes soccer mom by the time she's like done. And you're like, still good looking. But she's not but that's Hollywood. Right? That's Hollywood. If I'm looking at a superhero film, you gotta be smoking hot, right? And then if I'm watching a documentary, you can be any shape you want. If the documentary is about you eating cheeseburgers and stuff, cool, right? Moving out, doing stuff, just regular life, cool things. Superhero, jacked, good looking, unrealistically good looking. You're like, that person's not real. Argus says, I'm sorry. I don't want Karen with 3.67 chins and breasts on the front of the back being characters in the media. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with those people, right? There's nothing wrong with those people, okay? I just don't want them as a superhero. It. And if you make a superhero like that and it doesn't do well, don't be shocked. That's all I'm saying. Speaking of The Rock, IGN says he's using his, what is he at? IGN says he's using his filmography for evil. What is he doing? IGN, The Rock, 7 out of 10. I don't know what the reference is. Did he come out with a movie? I don't understand what you're saying, Dolphin. But hot people make me insecure. Looking in the mirror would make them insecure. You know what I mean, Reese? Like, I'm insecure. Oh, wait a minute. That's me. It's on their front page. It's an article. Okay, hold on. I don't see it. Oh, here it is. Mean, what am I? They're talking about his wrestling, aren't they? Yeah, I think it's more based off what his wrestling persona and stuff is now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's taking stuff that he did in the films and bringing it over to wrestling. All right, the next story I want to talk about is Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins confirms that the return of Star Wars says she's back on doing Rogue Squadron. Remember that time when Disney came out and they said, we got all these shows coming out, and they named like 12 shows. Like 12 shows coming out. We're doing all these things. There's 18 movies, 12 shows. They did the Marvel thing. They did the Disney thing for Star Wars. Like all this stuff was announced, and then it was canceled. They all got canceled. They all got moved. All of a sudden, now they feel like they're getting their footing back, right? It's amazing how companies in so much trouble, yet for some reason they're getting a lot of movies out or back in production. It says, in providing further proof that the theory of the Disney cinematic production efforts are in complete shambles across the board, Wonder Woman duology director Patty Jenkins has revealed that her previously canceled Star Wars Rogue Squadron film is officially back in development. Now, back in development means she's having a cup of coffee at a Starbucks and then talking to her friend about it. That's what that means, right? They're having phone calls. She's sitting and doing some research, right? Trying to find things about Star Wars without being a Star Wars fan. Gonna hire some people like that. That's what that means, okay? Jenkins, who previously grounded her aerial space adventure in favor of working with on a third Wonder Woman film, which never panned out, confirmed her return to Disney's Galaxy Far, Far Away while making a guest appearance on the 9th episode of Max's Taking Pictures podcast. Okay. Eventually, branching on the topic for future career plans, Jenkins said that, was asked about by Ben, do you see yourself making these and, grow up to serious movies like Monsters, her 2003 biography? Little known fact, I was uncredited in Monsters. I was in school at the time, and we took a trip over to the film set, and we got to work on the movie set. I worked on Monsters with Patty Jenkins. I don't know if there was also the Star Wars thing there, but also hard to follow too. Also a franchise in the future and director affirmed. I don't know if the answer to that question. Okay. It says, I'm always, like I said, always sort of outside of myself, watching myself at the same time where I'm like, wow, I guess you're going to do this, she explained, and never thought I would do to find a tentpole films. Nothing the thing I thought I would be doing. Also, however, despite the ignorance of her future projects, Jenkins says that recalled when I left Star Wars to do Wonder Woman 3, and then I went on to start working on that, and we talked about, okay, well, maybe I'll come back and do Star Wars after Wonder Woman 3. What's funny? So she had the movie, then left Star Wars to go do Wonder Woman 3, but then Wonder Woman 3 got canceled, and now she's back over here. So is it canceled or is it on? I don't know. It says, and then when Jenkins revealed that thanks to her schedule freeing up, courteous of James Gunn and Peter Safran, canning Wonder Woman 3, she's now found herself back in the pilot seat for Rogue Squadron. She says, quote, so we did the deal for that to happen, and we started to do a deal, but then I thought I was doing Wonder Woman 3, she recalled. So then when Wonder Woman 3, then it went away, Lucasfilm and I were like, oh, okay, well, then we got to finish this deal. We finished the deal right as we strike as beginning, and now I own a draft of Star Wars, so we'll see what happens there. Right, so she's got the draft. They also a hard job in form of whatever the first movie was is going to do, Jenkins added, and there are also other directions who have been working, but I'm now I'm back with Rogue Squadron. Now the funny part is, wasn't Gina Carano supposed to be in Rogue Squadron? I thought she was supposed to have her standalone, like, separate movie. Okay, so in the end, pressed further. She says, let's take all the contract stuff and all the other stuff you would be happy to do for Star Wars movie. What would be exciting if you worked out? Jenkins declared, absolutely, absolutely, Star Wars is a beautiful, emotional Star Wars and what stands for something so beautiful in this world. I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't even know what the fuck that means. Okay. Would you be excited? Yeah, absolutely. Star Wars is beautiful. The emotional Star Wars and what it stands for. What does it stand for? Not what Disney's making to stand for, I'll tell you that. Star Wars is born out of the World War II, right? It's born out of. How do you make a metaphor of talking metaphor, she continued, and so on, was always wanted to make a fighter pilot movie. It's been a dream of mine. I had a hard time with it because I'm in love with the jets of the 70s and 80s, and that's not what the great dogfight stories are, and so on. So, you know, Star Wars becomes a great playground for that. Look, I'm on board with that. I love if she makes like a Top Gun, but it's for Star Wars. You know what I mean? That would be cool. I would be okay with that. Okay. I think Star Wars is so beautiful, Jenkins ultimately concluded. So yes, I could do something beautiful and do something like that serves the audience, and it's great, and I would love to do it. So, as of writing, Jenkins' Rogue Squadron film has yet to receive an official production confirmation or release date. Yeah, she's still writing it. Now, here's the thing, though. She's not a very good writer. There was multiple things that she's done for writing. They didn't pan out very well. Now, she's a really good director. Okay, she's a really good director. Now, she did win, if I'm not mistaken, for Monsters, but I don't think she won for writing. Okay, let me look that up. I don't think she won for, right? I think she won for directing, didn't she? Oh no, she didn't win for directing, but she won. Let's see, Monster Award. Let's see, Academy Best Actress, Best Outstanding, Film Critic Award. Best Actress, Film Critic, Global Actress. Yeah, Best Actress, Best Female, Best Actress. Yeah, she didn't win. She didn't win anything of it, right? So the actress, but I think I'm pretty sure she wrote it, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, screenplay was Patty Jenkins. You see, she wrote that movie, right? But that was like her big break into the whole thing. The other movies that she's done, not a very good writer for it. So I like her directing style. So Wonder Woman. Let me see what other writing stuff that she's had. Let's see, upcoming, that's directing. So she did Monster. She did this other thing called Violent City Rules, Just Drive, Wonder Woman 1984. She's never really done other writing credits, okay? Now, she's produced a couple things, but she's directed quite a bit, and I'm okay with her directing. So I think she's good at directing. Hopefully she's not the writer. Bring on someone. Bring on the writer that doesn't know anything about Star Wars. Bring her in. Oh, wait, now she knows something about Star Wars. Now she would know because she was on the writing staff of Star Wars. Unless she, like, closed her ears. She closed her ears and was like, la, 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 la. No, I can't know anything about Star Wars. I can't learn because I have to go to the next writing room and not know anything about it. The Cara Dune Project was Rangers of the Republic. Oh, that's right. That was a completely separate show. Yeah, no, Monster was great. Monster was great. The writing in 1984 was garbage. Yeah, it was a bad film, Wonder Woman 2. And we did a story last week about Wonder Woman 1. I loved Wonder Woman 1, okay? Right? Everything about the first film of Wonder Woman 1 was a fantastic film. It was basically the Captain America story of DC, you know what I mean? Like it was fantastic. And then Wonder Woman 2 came out. I only liked the cheetah fight. The cheetah fight was terrible. Salty, that was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. So, what do you guys think? Right? Rogue Squadron. Are you excited? One, are you excited for a lot of Star Wars stories, right? Are you excited, one, for Star Wars? Okay. And if you are excited for Star Wars, are you excited for Rogue Squadron? I love the video game of Rogue Squadron. I would love if they had Wedge. I mean, he's a little old now, but I would love like if they followed Wedge in with Rogue Squadron and whatnot. I'm excited for the thought of Rogue Squadron, but I don't know if I'm excited for Rogue Squadron. These are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. One, do you think Patty Jenkins will hit this one out of the park when it comes out? Probably 2026, 2027, if it even gets to that point. Let me know in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. And if you like what we do here, please check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Yeah, the CGI was garbage. Yeah, the CGI was just as bad as the fighting scenes in Black Panther. Black Panther's fight scenes were terrible. That whole CGI fight at the end. Not excited for anything unless I can see it. Oh, you mean you got like the movie's got to be out? You got to give it the eye test. I don't know if it was worse. I want to put it right up there as like pretty goddamn even. All right, so we did 5 stories. We did the Acolyte showrunner. We did George Lucas. We did the X-Men. Oh, we have one more. I got one more. We got one more. Got one more story. Thoughts on Batman? Not until 2026. Yeah, it's a bummer that they kind of put it off. I liked Robert Pattinson's Batman. I thought it was very good. A little long. I could have done with there was like 3 endings. I could have done with just one. Would have been fine. But I did like I was looking forward to the second one. All right. Next story. All right, so the original Crow director rejects remake, says film should remain untouched out of respect for Brandon Lee. Says, quote, if it is his legacy and how it should remain. Okay? Now, based on just that title alone, I kind of agree with this. Has nothing to do with just Brandon Lee. I think certain movies shouldn't be touched. Okay? You don't need to make a remake or I don't know, a remake, if it's a sequel, whatever it is. You can just leave it alone, right? Now, there are times that you look at certain things, like, for instance, Judge Dredd by Sylvester Stallone was a good film. Good film, okay? Wasn't a great film, wasn't a fantastic film, it was just a good film. But the new Judge Dredd that came out is a much better film, right? Is a much better film, okay? But on the opposite scale, you got Total Recall. Arnold Schwarzenegger's first Total Recall was an amazing film. The remake with Colin Farrell, not so much, right? There's certain things that shouldn't be touched. Now, let's read the story and see where this lies here. It's like many fans of the Crow film adaptation, director Alex Perez says an opinion that the film should never receive a remake because the original is not just a movie, but rather stands as a testament to the talent and tragedy of this star, Eric Draven actor Brandon Lee. Okay, now, the director offered the understanding but firm disapproval of the upcoming Bill's-led remake of the response of the massive dislike ratio on the film's debut trailer received on YouTube, which is, as of writing, currently sits at 64,000 likes and 93,000 dislikes. Let me tell you, hold my beer, because the Acolyte got you beat. The Acolyte's got you beat. Okay, sharing with the CBR's coverage of the trailer's poor reception in his personal Facebook account on March 18th, the director asserted, "I really don't get any joy from seeing negativity about any fellow filmmaker's work. And I'm certain that the cast and crew really had a good intentions as well doing it of any film. So it pains me to say that any more of this topic, but I think the fans' response speak volumes." Okay? Says The Crow is not just a movie, he added. It's Brandon Lee died making it, and it was finished as a testament to his lost brilliance and tragedy loss, the legacy, and this is how it should remain. Okay? He said, unsurprisingly, this is not the first time it was voiced as the opposition of the idea of remaking The Crow. Appearing in the 61st episode of this podcast in 2020, when asked for his opinion on the project by the host Adam Hughes, the director likewise rejected the idea of the grounds that Brandon Lee made that movie and what it is. It made that movie. He made that character. Okay. So the character was not taken from the comic book. That was Brandon, he argued. And Brandon Lee died making the movie, and he paid the worst price anyone could ever pay making a movie in its legacy. The guy would also have been a huge star after that movie, and it wasn't able to do that after that. Right? It's almost the same type of thing that happened with, well, not the same type of thing, but Heath Ledger dying, right? Heath Ledger, right? Now, obviously, other people could play the Joker, but like that movie would have catapulted him into the next stratosphere because he was good before in certain movies, right? What was it? Brokeback Mountain, 10 Things I Hate About You. But there's a lot of other things. That movie was the next thing. That was his last thing that he did. Besides The Clown, there was a clown movie he did. I forget what the name of it is. So that's what the movie is. They ultimately affirmed it's not just a movie that can be remade. It's one of the legacies, and it's also to be treated with that with a level of respect. Further, in response to the recent reveal that the simply dismissed Eric Darvin's having a bad hair day next reboot. Thanks. Okay. So for those unaware of the specific tragedy that befell the son of martial arts legends Brandon Lee, during filming of The Crow, with only 1 day left on set, the actor was fatally shot during a scene by poorly inspected prop gun. Hey, imagine that. Happened all the way back then. Still happened in today, right? With Alec Baldwin's shoot. As a result of the actor's death, the original distribution Paramount proceeded to drop the film as it imagined that Lee's death would leave the project forever incomplete. However, it was eventually picked up by Miramax, who was turned funded into rewrites, reshoots, and CGI needed to, this is before CGI was big, right? And they had to Brandon's face over that in the body double, okay, in order to finish it, okay, which was just crazy back then. Helmed by Snow White and the Huntsman 2012, The Ghost of Shell, director Rupert Sanders, The Crow remake is currently on track and starting testing its luck in the U.S. movie audiences on June 7th. I feel like as a business, look, you want to make a movie, go ahead and make a movie. I think out of respect, I think it is poor taste that you would actually, take this movie. You could literally re-release the movie. Like, you could go re-release the original movie if you really wanted to, but they want to remake it in some way, shape, or form and, like, change it. And I think it's unfair to the actor because the actor's like, yeah, I would love to do that. I love Brandon Lee. I would love to make that part of the movie and be that, right? But now obviously, it could be the Judge Dredd of The Crow, or it could be the Total Recall of The Crow. And each their own, right? People might like it better than the original, but there is a little disrespect, I think, especially when someone lost their life. Now, obviously, the world keeps going on, and a lot of people don't give a shit that Brandon Lee lost his life on that film. And that's the sad part, right? So when a character is so big, he becomes the actual character itself. Like Brandon Lee, okay, is the Crow, right? Here, you guys think I don't know? Look at this. I love the movie The Crow. Okay, right. This is not Sting, right? This is Brandon Lee's The Crow. Okay, and the fact that I'm not excited about the new Crow, I'm not. Okay, who the fuck has a statue of the Crow? Okay, you see what I'm saying? Like, I have a statue of the Crow because I love that movie. I loved Brandon Lee. I loved, Bruce Lee, and I loved the film. And that is my remembrance of that film and him. Okay. And it's crazy to me that people just don't give a shit. They're just like, it's just a movie. It is a movie, right? Now, unfortunately, for instance, Chadwick Boseman died for Black Panther. The difference between Chadwick Boseman dying as Black Panther and he is Black Panther is he didn't die making the film. You see what I'm saying? Brandon Lee literally died making the film. So it's going to be a really hard sell. I'm surprised they really made it again. I'm really surprised. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to do very well. Right? But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think? Do you think the people that made that movie, do you think they have a figurine of the Crow? Probably not, right? Because I don't really think they care about being a fan of Brandon Lee or the original Crow. I think they're just looking for the bottom dollar, which is the money, and they could have made any other movie. They could have made any other thing. They could have re-released this. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. And if you like what we do here, please check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. What are the chances, chat? Chances. I've owned this for 30 years. 30 years. Do they have a date on this? This has gone with me no matter where I go, right? This is like my Oscar. Okay? This is actually one of the reasons I got into film. Right? One thing I liked about the trailer is how he didn't hold back and made it graphic, thus adding weight. Yeah, the gore is on point, but the new Crow for sure. I love the vibe of the Crow, but the actor got replaced, or actors get replaced. I think Salty. I don't think the director for the first Crow made the sequel. Yeah, no, they didn't. The sequel it was terrible. And I don't think they should have rebooted it. I think they should have just left it. There's plenty of IPs they could have done. Don't lie, that's Edward Scissorhands. Yeah. No, that's not Johnny Depp. If it's a good movie, we'll all be forgiven. I mean, I'm not gonna see it, or I'm not seeing it not because I don't want to support it. It's just I didn't see the Total Recall because I like the first Total Recall. I know it sucked because of people telling me it sucked and what the reviews say. I don't know if anything is forgiven. The people that think it's bad taste is going to be bad taste regardless if it's a good movie or not. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it has anything to do with if it's a good movie. Oh, well, that's fine then. It's okay that you shit on the guy that died in the movie. You know what I mean? It's unfortunately, okay. It doesn't happen often, but the actor literally died making the film. Right? And that's unfortunate. Right? They remade Hellblade. Not Hellblade. Not Hellblade. What the hell is it? My brain. Hellboy. Thank you, Titan. Jesus Christ. You know, it's one. I'm telling you, man. COVID fucked up one thing in my brain. There's a blockade from my old memories of certain things. Yeah, they redid Hellboy. Hellboy came out as a video game. That came and went, right? I didn't like the new Hellboy. No, not Blade Runner. It was Hellboy. It's unfortunate, but I like the character. Yeah, and that's just the thing, right? Like, the studios don't care if a person gave their life up on set. It was like, how do we make money off of this? Well, we have this IP of the Crow we could do, and they're like, what else we got? They're like, well, that's about it. They're like, okay, well, let's do the Crow. Because the owner of the company that owns the company now probably never saw the Crow, so it doesn't exist to them, or they never read the books or the comic books. You know what I mean? Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. That was huge news back in the day when it happened. So Russ must be good then? Well, that's completely different. It's a completely different set of circumstances, Krebsy. Both dipshits, one set to the other, whoever didn't do it correctly. But one's the actor of the main character and one is the director of photography. And those are just two that you hear of. There's other stories. He's in a reputation. Representation is in Hollywood is still kind of lacking. Is it? Is it? There's a lot of people. Right? I mean, just because Shang-Chi came out wasn't like that the first film that. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a whole movie industry. Is it the second largest movie industry? Let's see. Yeah, it's the third. It's third. United States, United Kingdom, and then China. And then Japan is fifth on the list. And then Korea is seventh on the list. And Hong Kong is 10th on the list. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. 11 on the list. You know who makes some really good films? India. "30 years since the Chrome, we still make the same mistakes?" Yeah. Yep. Because of what happened to Brandon Lee, they literally changed the rules in the industry. Do you know how many safety checks go on? There's two terms, right? Safety check also means smoking pot on the set as well. But safety check, at least it did when I was there. They have so many like gates to stop you from fucking up, right? Literally, there's a safety meeting, not a safety check, safety meeting, but safety meetings, okay, where they bring in the gun. They say we have a live gun on set today, okay? There's no bullets. They pull a thing out. They show everything that's happening. They do this all before we even take one iota of frame to film. Okay, they come on the set, they bring the guns out. They say we'll be using this many guns. This is what they're supposed to do anyway, right? We have a whole bunch of guns that we're using on the set today, right? The first AD, which is the assistant director, will usually hold up the weapon, empty it and everything, and show it and go, okay, this is a real gun. This is what we're using. Then they do it again before that scene goes off. Okay, they check everything before. Okay. Not on low budget sets. They just hand guns to people. There's so many safety precautions in place because of what happened to Brandon Lee. So it wouldn't happen again. Asian actors in American films? Sure, but there's still other actors. I mean, here, let's look. Here are some here. I just literally just pulled this up, right? This is from 49 characters from the 90s and 2000s. You already forgot about these are Asian descent in some way, shape, or form. You got the girl from Smallville. You got from Hook. You got from Gilmore Girls. You got from Full House. You got Jackie Chan's Adventures. Okay. You got Hey Arnold, 96 to 2004. You got George Hung from Law and Order, 99 to present. Okay, still there. You got Gina from Unfabulous from 2004 to 2007. You got representation. Kid shows. Right? These are famous shows and things that did very well. Samurai Jack. Yeah, there you go. Lucy Liu. Did they remake Rugrats? I did not know that. Rugrats all grown up. I didn't know that. Any more for Power Rangers? See, I think this is like a made-up thing in our heads, right? I do, and I'm not bringing it up because like saying Titan. I really think we just forget that back in the day there was plenty of diversity. Now, I guarantee you, if I go over to China and look up American actors in China movies, how many white people are in Asian movies? I don't think there's going to be a long list of people. I'm just saying. Right? And this is all before the year 2010. So as a society, we went further back because we all think that these people never existed. Okay? Right? Here's the best part. Okay? Remember the show, the TV network, UPN, which was then became a WB, right? Like, there was a whole black network that was back in the day, from like the late 80s to 90s, right? The whole thing. But there's no representation nowadays for that either. And I'm like, what are we talking about? Like, we've gone backwards. In Living Color was the Saturday Night Live, okay? And there was like 2 white people on the entire show. Jim Carrey, and I forget the white girl's name. Okay? People have goldfish brains. There's people that live today, they don't even think that World War II was real. Like, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You know why they don't think it's believable? Is because the internet, you can't go back a little. You only can see certain things in those times because we didn't have the internet to film everything. You actually have to see a physical picture, and then someone has to take a picture of the picture to put it on the internet. Now they have to make one of my queens black on Netflix. Is that true? I haven't seen it. Is that on the? Is that true, Salty? Is that in the show The Queen? No, they didn't do that, did they? It's a period piece, and they literally changed history. That's amazing. Yeah, Dean Cain. Oh. I think a lot of people just don't know. Look up. Okay, hold on. Okay, that's the Queen of England. Okay. So who's playing her now? I'm sorry. I don't want the play. Is that who she's playing? On AMC? That's who she's playing? Stop. Stop. How does this... I know what it is. Salty. The writer just never knew about history. They had a writer in the writer's room that knew nothing about history, while the other writers knew about history, and the one outsider was like, I think we should change this. Just from an outside perspective, I feel underrepresented. This is what happens. This is what happens when people don't read history. Fair's fair. Fair's fair. So, I'm just saying, down the road, when Martin Luther King, I know it's a joke, is played by Ryan Gosling. Fair's fair. Okay? Just portrayed like, are we living... We're living in a clown world. We're living in a clown world. No, Ryan Gosling's now Black Panther. Oh, sorry. Well, Tom Hanks then. We'll pick Tom Hanks. Chris Pratt? Can we pick Chris Pratt? He plays everybody. Yeah, it's silly. It's just silly. I didn't even know that existed, to be honest with you. But I think that's the point, right? Someone looks at that and says, well, it doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter. It does matter because you're insulting an entire nation. I saw season 1 like years ago, Eclipse. I haven't watched the second season. Season 2, right? Maybe I'll watch that when I go on vacation this summer. It's fucking fact and real history. Yeah, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, Salty. Is it fun? Was it a good watch? That's what matters. No. I heard that wasn't very good either. Kenny Lang says, I'm convinced this is one big episode of Punk. The other week, me and Sarge were talking before the stream started for GXG, which is on tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, our podcast that we do. We were talking. I said, you know what I think happened? In 2000, I think it was 2004, 2008, they made the collider. I forget what it's called. Where they make atoms and they collide, right? It's in a mountain underground, and it's this big huge thing that they made the collider. I think something went wrong there. I think we are literally in the multiverse of our own existence. I think something went wrong there. This is all what's happening. It's like this weird, because after 2010, just everything feels a little bit off. Yeah, this thing right here. Right? This thing right here was built in 2008. That's what it was. Okay? It's a particle accelerator. Okay? So, something went on here, and it changed the world. Just my theory. Just my theory. I have no proof. It just sounds. When they built it, I was like, something's gonna go wrong. We're not gonna know when. It's not a big explosion that happened. It was literally like instantaneous. It was just like, hey, look, and then everything changed. Like, what happened? Did anything? Nah, it didn't work. And then the world went crazy. So you're saying no, I'm talking about this one. I'm talking about this one. Krebsy, this was built in 2008. Oh, you're saying the Mayan calendar was right and the world will end in 2012. Well, it could have been. I mean, I don't know. They built it in 2008. I don't know when it went active when they first did their first thing. Sounds like a Rick and Morty episode. I mean, we got to start giving it to other animated shows. The Simpsons can't be right about everything. Come on. They tested it first in 2020, I bet. It's just weird. It's just like people forget about a certain part of their lives before a certain period, right? When did that thing start with the Mandela effect? When did that start? That people started noticing things. Oh yeah, this music right now represents exactly what's going on. Yeah, I saw the trailer. Salty sent it to me yesterday. Looks good. I haven't watched an Alien movie 30 years. I didn't watch any of the new ones that came out. Yeah, here you go. The Mandela effect refers to a situation in which large mass of people believes that an event occurred when it did not. In terms of origin, 2009. I mean, I don't have an exhibit. The Collider was made in 2008. The Mandela effect was made in 2009. Large group of people think something happened, but then it didn't. I don't know. Just kind of strange. How big of an effect is it as a producer? I noticed a lot of trailers advertising the producer instead of the director or the writer. The producer is the person that just gets the money. Right? Gets the money. So if it wasn't for the producer, you wouldn't have a film. And producers became more prominent because a lot of producers are the ones getting it where when it was backed by the studios was up there and they would put the director first. It usually goes in the form of a movie in the old days. It was director, producer, writer, and then they would show the cast. All we need now is Kanye to be the president, and now the clown world will be complete. Is it Fruit Loops or Fruit Loops? I remember it as F-R-O-O-T. Is it Fruit Loops now? Yeah, see that? I remember this. With the O's being the fruit. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Are people saying it said fruit? Like it had fruit on the cover? Is that real? I mean, nowadays you can't trust anything because of I can make something up in what's it called? AI. You really can't trust. Let me see. Do they actually have a box? Yeah, I would have to see an actual old picture of someone holding a box of Fruit Loops. Yeah, I think it's always been F-R-O-O-T. What color is Pikachu's tail? Isn't it yellow? With this is a bad one for me. I don't even know because I'm not a Pikachu fan. Pokemon fan. Yeah, it's yellow, isn't it? Yeah, it's yellow. It's not a brown tip. It's got brown at the base of it. I just thought it was yellow. Are you sure there's black stripes on his back? I don't know. All right, on that note, 3 o'clock. We got 2 hours and we get a couple of stories. I appreciate it very much. I have to edit these and get them out. This video, if you're watching here live or watch it after the fact, it will be privated. It will not be on this channel. I will put this whole entire upload as you saw it here over on our other channel, Nerding with 30. So make sure you go check out Nerding with 30. I do the breakout video. So if you don't want to watch the entire 2 hours, you can watch the individual stories that we go, whatever I upload, and that'll happen throughout the week. So I appreciate it very much. You guys have a great rest of your day. I'll be back tonight for Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories in the past week, and we rant along the way. It's been a busy day today. We did a morning show. We're doing an afternoon show, and now we're going to be doing an evening show as well. Other than that, appreciate it very much, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.